morning. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene. And today we're talking about
lots of RPGs, no players, no time.
Wow. That sounds serious.
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I think it's every gamer's, I don't know what you call it, nightmare, but not really a nightmare. More like the situation. Unless you're lucky enough that you have plenty of time and are playing plenty of games. So this person on Reddit asked this question about, well, it wasn't really that question. It was his shouting to the darkness or into the void, because he was saying, and that's what he said. He goes, I'm really just ranting. I don't expect people to solve my problems. So his problem was that he has a ton of RPGs that he really wants to play, but he has no players and no time.
I have a suggestion for him. Maybe he should get rid of some of his RPGs that he can't play. Take it to a flea market and sell it. Sell it on eBay.
Well, there's that. You can lower the amount of RPGs available so you don't feel as bad.
That's a suggestion I give to Saul all the time.
I'm getting to
he does not do it.
I'm getting to that point where I might have to start selling RPGs.
Because he's run out of space to put them.
Well, there's that. And it's kind of like, what is that? That reminder there that, damn, I haven't got that game to the table. And then on the horizon, at my age, I'm thinking, I may never get that game to the table.
Such a first world problem there, dude.
I'm just like one of our friends that we were playing yesterday, or I don't know when it was, but anyway, recently, and he was lamenting that he had too much PTO and he had to take time off. And then he goes, yeah, I know, first world. I go, really, dude, you're crying about that? I have to take time off.
Or I'm going to lose it.
So he's going to take every Friday off for the next couple months.
Wah.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Says the guy who gets 5 weeks of vacation. So I don't know. Actually 6 weeks, but anyway, who's counting? What are we talking about? This guy has too many games. He wants to play more. What can he do? I mean, what can you can't. Well, the easiest thing you could do is build a time machine. Go back to when you were a teenager and play like when you were a kid.
But they weren't there when.
Oh, that's true. Well, you could play D&D the heck out of D&D, at least when I was a kid. I mean, I think all of us go back to the time when we were kids. If you're not that old, you still could go back to when you were younger and had more time. You know, as a kid, what responsibilities you have? Go to school. Big deal. That's 6 hours out of your day. And if you live in the country, go outside and run around and jump off hay bales and stuff like that. Go through alfalfa fields and stuff. That's what I did. But at a certain point, you know, you play, you become acquainted with RPGs, you start playing, and you have a hell of a time. Because we used to play every Saturday. In fact, we used to play every Saturday, and then we started going to the library every Saturday. And so that was a lot of role-playing going on as a kid. Now, as you get older, you got work, you got responsibilities, you have family, obligations, blah, blah, blah.
He says it like it's not it's a bad thing, right?
Sometimes it is a bad thing. So
cuts into your game.
It seems like that happens when you become an adult. But there's maybe some things that you could do to make it easier for you to be able to play games.
So this guy cries out into the internet night.
Well, into the Reddit, which, you know, you're going to get answers no matter what.
And says, you don't have to answer me. But of course, as gamers, they all answered him.
Well,
this is what I would do.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
And some people lament, they lament with them.
I feel for you.
They go, oh, welcome to the club.
Yes.
Which I kind of felt the same way, because I have a small collection of RPGs, and some of them I haven't played, and I'm kind of sometimes in the same boat. But I do try to play more games than I try to play more games. So
for this guy, he can't get his, I guess his normal group, whatever they play, they don't want to play the different games. The newer, all of the different kinds.
He didn't really go into specifics about what his problem was, other than he had too many games that nobody played with.
There you go.
I'm sure he plays because he
has all those games.
He has all those games. So this one person responded to him, and then it got my ideas going, and I'm like, yeah, those are good ideas. And one of the things is he mentioned was lower the barrier to entry. Make it easier for people to play.
We've talked about that before.
Yeah, we talked about that before. And what makes it easier for people to play?
Having characters created already.
Right, pre-gens.
Yes.
Right. A lot. Think of how like a marketer, right? Like a game
designer,
marketer, publisher, whatever, designs games. Think of a starter set.
They always give you pre-generated characters.
Right, they always have pre-generated characters. You don't need to spend all that time making characters, especially like the D&D starter kit, right? It has pre-generated characters because making a character, if you've never done it before, or 5 people have never done it, and you're trying to get them to make characters, it could be a problem. That's a barrier to entry. Instead of just sitting down going, oh, you're a warrior, these are your skills, this is what you can do, bada blee, bada blee.
Or here are the characters you can choose from.
Yeah.
I've made the characters for you this time, so then next time you can make whatever you want.
Right. That makes it easier to get into a game. Pick easy games to run. Don't run really complicated games. I hate to say that like the what is it, Dark Heresy or Rogue Trader, where the percentile system is kind of weird and you have all these skills, and
unless you have cheat sheets for them.
Yeah, but even cheat sheets, if it's a really complicated game, let's say 5th edition Shadowrun, you could have all the cheat sheets in the world, but if you're a brand new player or a new player to that game, it's going to be problematic for you to be able to play your character, not even like run the game. So pick easier games to play. D&D is pretty easy because it is so well known every corner of the world of what D&D is. People already have an idea. They've seen the Lord of the Rings. There's all kinds of reasons why D&D is the easier game to get people to play.
Well, if they haven't seen Lord of the Rings, they probably still know what an elf and a dwarf is.
Yes,
are.
Right. If you're playing face-to-face, make it super easy for them to come to your place and play a game, have pencils, pens, dice, everything ready, just in case they forget to bring their stuff.
Of course.
If they have that stuff. So another thing is, there's another suggestion which I organically has happened with me. When I was a kid, we ran 8-10 hour games. We played starting at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That is not lowering the barrier.
And played till 12 o'clock at midnight. So understand that a lot of people don't have that much time anymore. Even me. So shorten your game, right? Shorten how long your session is.
And if it's a game that people haven't played before, if you play a 2 or 3 hour game, they might really get into it and really want to play it again. Whereas if you're playing a 6 hour game and this is the first time they've ever seen this stuff, they're like, I don't want to do this.
Right. Give them that taste and leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
It's exactly a good idea for a 2-3 hour, even a 4 hour game. I think, how long did we play yesterday?
I don't know.
We're supposed to play 4 hours, more or less, from 11 to 3.
Some people were really talkative, though. So.
Yes. So there was a lot of talking, a lot of eating. So we played about 3 hours, maybe 2.5.
3. I'd say 3.
So, yes, that definitely makes the game easier to get into. When you know, it's only going to be 3 hours. It's going to be, a little bit more longer than a movie and whatever.
Yeah. Oh, on our Friday nights game, we usually play until someone falls asleep because we're all tired, except for those of us who are retired.
Even they fall asleep. Yeah, so I think that really does help the GM.
You want to get more games out on the table.
Yeah.
A shorter
and get
game.
Players, right?
Yeah.
And if you run a lot of these games, you're going to get a table, you're going to get a pool of players that really want to play.
Right.
And some people might drop out, but you're going to be able to get a pool of players that really want to play, that really like the game.
I think that's another thing you should do is be very flexible. If people drop out, don't say, I have to have 4 players to play this game.
That's number.
Oh,
that's
I'm
number.
sorry. I didn't know they were numbered.
So, run shorter games. I think bite-sized periods of time make it easier for people to commit and easier for people to say yes to and actually join and play the game. I'm going to go pretty fast because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Third is run games at a game store. This gives you exposure to people just passing by, people who you probably wouldn't ever meet if you just played at home or played online. You get to meet people who are local because they're there in the local game store. That exposure, people might come back and, what are you playing? Oh, can I play? And so that's a way of advertising or getting that game out there.
He says game store because most game stores have Saturdays where people can come and play games, right?
Right.
Or different days of the week where different games are played. So
Yes, all our local game stores have like a little play area, either because usually most game stores they sell RPGs, but they also sell Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, and that requires a space to play, and they can make a lot of money if they have tournaments and stuff. So they have to have a little play area or a large player, depending on what game store it is. And usually they don't have tournaments 7 days a week. So Monday through Friday, they have empty tables, and you can ask, "Oh, can I run a game here?" And sometimes they'll charge. Most likely they won't because it's like advertising.
it depends on the store. Like there were some stores in Portland and Seattle that they specifically had rooms where people could run games all the time.
Yes.
I don't know if they charged or not, but
yes, I'm sure they do.
it was very interesting to see.
Well, even what is it? The Game Castle here, they have like an open play area, but they actually have a room where you can actually, with a nice table and nice chairs.
Yeah, Elusive Gaming has that area for role playing games. I think you have to pay to go back there and play.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, I mean, if it's like if you're running a private game.
Yeah,
they do that. But if you're saying, I want to run a public game where people can sign up through you guys to play, that's different.
Yeah.
Usually. Your mileage may vary in your particular area. I think I think it gives you a little bit of exposure, and people start to meet you, they know you. The same thing happens if you run at a convention. Run convention games. You get, I hate to use the word, but you get a network of players and GMs that may like the game that you want to run. I want to play in it. Run different length campaigns. Maybe somebody wants to play a long campaign like they did when they were a kid. Take a year, go from 1st to 10th, 20th level, whatever. But some people, I just want to play one adventure, one shot, and everything in between, right? So I think that's a good way of getting different types of players. One shots are people who probably just want to see what your GM style is, what your play style is, and I think it's
or they want to see what the game is, or they've heard about it and they want to play in it.
Well, that is an excellent idea. I didn't think about that. That they may just want to see if this game is any good.
Like there's a couple of games that I want to try, which I haven't told the GMs that run games for me yet. But I would like to, because like the Stanford group does one shots.
Yes.
Sometimes they do 5 shots, but it's always interesting. You can play different games that you haven't played before.
Same thing with the boys.
Yes, yes.
The Friday nights, as we call ourselves. We play on Friday night. Get it?
I got it, babe.
The double entendre.
You're so weird.
Running like one shots is different from running like an adventure out of a book. And it's definitely different from running a campaign. And different people have different ideas of what kind of game they want to get into. One shots are good for introduction to players into the system, introducing themselves to each other, to the GM. But after that, they might want to play something that's a little bit more substantial. And I think you should be able to switch up or run different kinds of games with different groups of people depending on their commitment to the game.
So one shot would be like a 4 to 5 hour game, depending on where you are. 6 hours if you're at a convention. That's usually the time slot here. Anyway, I don't know other places.
6 to 8 hours is what they usually say.
Then some people might go, well, I'd like to play an adventure that lasts 3 or 4 games. So that would be like, depending on how often you meet, like 3 months or whatever.
Right, of course.
And then there's the people that want to play that campaign game that's going to take a year at least to go through. And that's if you meet all the time.
Right. If you're scheduled regularly, wherever that may be. But you're going to get different players with different types of expectations or different expectations when they come to the table. They go, oh, you're only going to play once, and then that's it. And they go, well, we can. Usually, if they like the game and they go to a one-shot, they probably want to continue playing over and over again. And then a lot of people get tired of just the one-shots of different games and just want to play a longer campaign. Hence,
and the thing about playing like at a game store where they have open gaming or whatever, you get to meet people that you wouldn't normally play with, right? So then that game that none of your friends wants to play, I'm looking at Ghost Ops, which it's just the game in front of me. in the bookcase say they don't want to play that, but you go to a game store and there's 4 guys that are like, oh, this is so cool.
Right.
And
Yes.
they all go, well, can I buy that book? And then I don't know if it's still in print. My husband could tell you.
Yes.
Then they go, okay, we can meet, blah, blah, blah. And then
Yeah, it's exactly what happens.
And play the game that you've been wanting to play for a while.
Yes. I mean, and Ghost Ops is not...
I just randomly looked at that and picked it.
It's available on Drive-Thru RPG.
There you go.
Print on demand.
There you go.
Yes, I think that is the key to that kind of experience, is that you get to meet different people that you don't normally would get to meet. And a lot of times, you got your core group of people, or your one group that you have, and they play games with, but sometimes they're like, oh, we just want to play D&D or whatever game. And you're like, oh, I like to try this. Well, we got to learn a new system. And we're really into this, and we're in the middle of this campaign. And so there you go. So trying a different game is good.
So that is one way to meet new players.
Right. And get a different pool of players.
Yes.
With different
that want to play different games.
Right. Another thing you could do is run different games, and we talked about that. We're talking about that sort of, but if you run D&D all the time and you're running different D&D games, try running a different genre. Run a space opera game, not the space opera from Fantasy Games Unlimited, but in the space opera genre, whether it's Star Wars or Traveler. Run something different, and you're going to get a different group of players wanting to play that game, because some people are not interested in doing the fantasy thing, right? They play D&D for 20, 30 years. They want to try something different. So run different games, and you're going to get a different pool of players who are really interested in that game than just fantasy.
There you go.
Yes. Now, this one was kind of funny. There was somebody on Reddit that suggested to recruit aggressively, which another Redditor posted. Because when I saw that post, I was thinking of somebody in the mall walking up to strangers going, do you know my new Lord and Savior? And then you start talking about some game, right? Which is actually kind of funny. And I thought it was kind of interesting that's what he thought. And then he goes, and then somebody else goes, no, that's the wrong way to do it. You're supposed to go door to door and definitely cold call people at dinner time. So I thought those were both funny responses to that comment that somebody said to recruit aggressively. I think he means not that you go to somebody's house and cold call them or cold knock on their door, but to go out, put yourself out there, put your game out there.
Trying to get more people to come and play the game you want to play.
Right. Advertise your game.
I don't suggest going to the mall and,
pass out flyers?
Yeah.
Although that might work.
Or going door to door, because that's just...
probably not. That one I definitely don't suggest you don't do. But at the mall, maybe by the game store, you might want to, I'm going to start a new game.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful that might be.
I don't know.
But there's other avenues of advertising. There's websites. You just go on Facebook. Roll20 has looking for players. There's Pen and Paper is a website for people who want to meet and play games.
Roll20 or any online gaming platform is a good way to play games that you don't get to play.
Right. Because
there's going to be people that are interested in that game and are willing to play with you online.
Oh, you're talking about online? Yeah.
I'm just saying, because if you can't go out and proselytize to get players, then you could go on to Roll20 and ask people, and I'm sure you're going to get players.
Yes. In fact, that does. I mean, they have Roll20 is a VTT. You can go on it. They have it's free, I think, for the most part, unless you want the extra bells and whistles. But you are able to say you're looking for a game, list any game you're looking for, and people will contact you if they want to. In fact, I was contacted not too long ago, but this person is I think it's in Italy, and wants to run on weird days. For me, weird days, weird times. That has to do with the time difference stuff. But anyway, so it does happen. You can do it. And you can find players out there. Definitely find players out there, because not that there's a GM shortage, but a lot of people like to play. A lot of people want to play certain games, but their friends don't play, or they're not likely to find people in their area to play. And the internet has opened up a lot of interest in being able to play online.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a way of getting
that book off your shelf and into play.
Right. Be committed to running your game, right? If you say you're going to run on this day, try not to do not cancel all the time. People are not going to save that space or that time that they have for you to play for them to play in a game, and then you cancel as a GM. That's terrible, because then they get like, oh well. And if you do it more than once, good luck on them ever showing up again. I think if you're consistent and you say you're going to run the game. I think that's pretty important for you to stay committed to your commitments that you say you're going to do. That one's pretty basic, and that was pretty quick. Just try to be a dependable GM and run the game when you say you're going to run. Jolene talked about this one earlier. We call Be Flexible. Let's say you have an adventure for 5 players. Oh, you really think it's perfect for 5 players, but 3 players show up. Run the game anyway. I know I've done this a couple of times when I run a game at conventions. I run a game this last time. It was a 6-player game, and I really wanted 6 players because the makeup of it was a investigation game. It was a Blade Runner, and I had the 6 characters pre-generated, and there's all kinds of inner workings between the players, there's kinds of background and stuff, and 6 players is what I needed. And when I started the game, I got 6 players, but 1 dropped out. But then I realized it didn't really matter. I could have ran it with less than 5 players or 6 players.
That's what you always are going to realize there, because people are always saying you have to have a balanced party, you have to have this, and you have to have that, and you can play with 2 people, and maybe they aren't fighters, so they're going to figure out how to do stuff without having to fight, right?
Correct. I ran Space Opera. It was on a Sunday night, I believe. It was I had up to 8 characters. I actually have 10 character sheets and stuff. Only 2 people showed up, and I'm like, but it was mainly an investigative game, and it actually worked out really well because it was like a dual team, like it was like a detective story, right? There's 2 detectives in every case, theoretically, right? So it worked really well. They worked well together. As far as the combat or the combat situations, I just kind of if they didn't want to get into combat, they were easily able to avoid it. Yeah. So it worked out really well. So be flexible in your game and try not to be so steadfast and I have to have this. I have to have this amount, or
we have to meet at this time on this day,
or it's not going to work, right?
Well, if you want to play these games, get these games off the shelf, then you need to do something to do that.
Right. And like you said, if you have a plethora of games at your disposal, you can even take a poll of your friends or the people you're playing with saying, give them options as to what kind of games you're going to run. So let's say you're interested in running a particular game, let's say Traveler. But people are going, well, I like to play Star Wars. And you have Star Wars on your shelf, and you've looked at it and going, but you really want the world of Star Wars. Well, be a little bit flexible and say, well, you know what? My people want to play Star Wars, so these people want to play Star Wars. And it could be for various reasons, right? They just saw the latest Star Wars movie, or they just saw the TV series on Disney or whatever, and they're super hyped about it. I think if players are super hyped about something, maybe you should, acquiesce to them and say present to them what they want.
That's what you should always do. Ask your players what they want to play, right?
Well, sometimes you really want to run a game, or you want to see how a game runs, but you're right. If just because the GM wants to run a game
doesn't mean the players want to play that game.
And if the players don't want to play that game, it's not going to be a good game after all.
No.
So you're better off not running the game that you really want to play and run a game that you're like, oh. And you can almost run the same game. Star Wars and Traveler, you could easily import the ideas of the adventure that you had for Traveler and make it into a Star Wars game. Easy.
I'm just looking at him going, okay, because Traveler, my characters die before I even hit the table. Star Wars, I don't think that's going to happen. So
I think you're a little bit
biased.
that traumatized is the word by that happening. And what's funny is a lot of people love that about Traveler, that your character can die before even starting. And I think
maybe that's because they haven't had their character die before they start. That's all I gotta say.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's been taken out of a lot of.
A lot of people make that an optional rule or take it out, right?
Yes, like Mongoose Second Edition, which is really popular, has taken that out, or it's optional. I think Cepheus, which is a clone of Traveler, has also taken that out. You don't do that. Also, they have made it so your skills are not random.
All I know is me and my son had to make characters from the original books, and Saul was asleep, so we're looking at it going, he goes, I'm gonna die before I get the character made. I go, I don't know. It's a chance.
It's just a chance. Yes. That's been, like I said, that's been taken out of almost every clone, the 2D6 science fiction game clone of Traveler. They can't say Traveler. Like Cepheus, there's other ones.
Well, my point was that Star Wars and Traveler are not necessarily the same, but I can see that if all your players want to play Star Wars and you have read the book and know the rules, then go for it.
Right. And like I said, you could kind of use the same idea for Traveler, for Star Wars that you had in Traveler. Like,
go from world to world.
Yeah, you could look at, what's his name? What's his name? The one with the Millennium Falcon.
Han Solo?
Yeah, Han Solo. I can't
believe you forgot his name.
He was a traitor, right? He was a traitor. I'm using the air quotes.
He was a smuggler.
I mean, but almost every Traveler
is a smuggler.
Ends up being smuggler because it's very hard to make money doing real, honest work. So he takes passengers, right? He takes cargo.
Cargo, yes. Cargo and Traveler is basically the same in Star Wars.
Yes.
You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Or you might know what it is and you don't want to.
The less you know, the better. But you're basically moving stuff from one place to another, and you have a crew that helps you do that. Think Firefly, same thing. It's all interchangeable at certain points. So I think play games that offer different games, but play games that your players really want or have a lot of interest in. I think interested players hands down beats games that you really want to play.
And if you know more people have different genres that they like to play, right?
Definitely.
Different people like to play different things. Of course, the GMs that I play with, they'll run anything and play anything because they want to see what it is, how the system works, and how this is going to go.
Well, for example, the Stanford group, if I were to say, I want to run a D&D game, I think some of them would not be interested in it. Like half, which is almost all. Right? I mean,
why play D&D when there's so many other games to play, they say.
Or that they've already played a lot of D&D.
I've already played enough D&D.
I don't need, but here I am running Conan.
And they seem to enjoy it.
Right?
There's always an ape in Conan.
Yeah, a really murderous, bloodthirsty ape. You're right. I think just being more conducive to following the interests of the players will get you playing more games. And you're going to have players that are really interested in that game. And what do you go? They're bought in, right? There's less buy-in. They're less convincing of them to play the game when they're really interested in a certain genre.
Or you can do Saul's method of buying more than one book and handing it out to people as Christmas presents to try to encourage them to play in this game.
I haven't been really successful in that. I mean, I did that for the One Ring. I kind of handed out books for the Mutant Chronicles. Bay and Morgan, they still haven't
run the game for you?
The game for me. Or us, I should say. That's hit or miss, but it definitely helps. I think it can help. I don't know if it's a cheap enough game. Some games you can buy for like $5. So, but pass them out. So yes, what is it? So once you have your group, I think I put down don't suffer fools, right? Don't let disruptive players, problematic players at your table, whether it's the virtual table or the real table, ruin the game, right? If sometimes people don't gel well together, their play style isn't really to your doesn't match well with your temperament, your style. You might want to ask people, well, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out with you in the game for whatever reason. There's a multitude of reasons why you would want somebody to stop playing in your table. Now, the reason I say this is that other people might have the same feelings but aren't going to say nothing, and you as a GM are kind of have control of that table. You're the one that's bringing everybody together. You're the one that's running the game, and unfortunately it falls on you to say, you know what, you're just not gelling well with the rest of the table. Let's just ask you to stop playing or leave the group, because what's going to happen is if that person is bothering other people, the other people are going to stop going. They're going to start not showing up for your game, or they're not going to be very consistent, or they're just not going to be present anymore. They're just going to sit there and not partake in the game, and then sooner or later they will leave. That's a tough one, I think, for almost anybody, but sometimes it has to be done. Or just say, you know what, this is not working out. This group is not working out. Just disband, stop playing, and find another group.
Okay.
I shouldn't end on such a negative message, but I think, on the other side of this whole situation, this guy was just venting his thought,
desire to play the games that he bought,
and he goes, "I'm not really asking for help. I'm not really asking, but I'm just venting." But people, gamers, still came to his aid. They came and tried to help him out, give him some ideas, and I think that's usually, for me, has been my experience. Role-playing hobby players and GMs, everybody's there to try to help each other out and have fun with their game. And I think that's the positive aspect of this whole episode, is that people are out there, even though this guy was just venting, they go, well, let's help you anyway. Let's see what we can find, the ways that you can get your games to the table. And for something that has no impact on them, right? The players that saw this post and go, oh yeah, poor dude.
They were probably GMs going, I know exactly how you feel. This is what I would do.
Well, and that's
this is what I have done.
And I think there was so much commiseration. Like every GM, a lot of GMs, not every GM, a lot of GMs are in that boat, right? They buy They're the one that spurs on the different games that people want to play. Well, they buy the games because they interested in it, and then they present the games to the players. The GMs are the impetus of the driving force, of new games and you at different players' tables. Because the players go, well, I'll just keep playing whatever the GM runs, because that's the only game in town.
Have these extra games, just go out and find people to play them.
And good luck to you finding your games. Hit the table.
Hopefully Saul gave you some ideas.
Yes.
There you go. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene.
And you have a good day.